All right, the number of questions is going up, which is a good sign, and people are getting into the retreat. Okay, so let us start. We'll just start from the top and see what happens. Dear Ajahn, re-abstaining from liquor, wine, and intoxicants. In our Chinese culture, during weddings and happy occasions, there is alcohol served. And as a Buddhist, can we participate and drink on occasions? Can and cannot. I don't know. I mean, you can, but the question is, do you really want to? That's the question. I would say that, you can take the precept in exactly the way you like. You can say, I abstain from liquor except on weddings. Yeah. It's up to us how we want to keep these precepts. But I would encourage you to give it up completely. There's something very powerful about giving these things up completely, right? And sometimes other people will notice that you don't drink anymore, and they may say, well, why don't you drink anymore? And you can say, actually, I feel much better when I don't drink. I feel more clarity. Who wants to be confused? Who wants to kind of have this kind of alcohol in your blood? It just feels stupid and ridiculous. And you actually may help people to see things in a new way by giving it up. You become an example for others. So it's not just Chinese culture. Every culture is a drinking culture around the world. Every culture is the same. And sometimes some people have to, to take the lead and show that there is another way to live. We don't have to follow the dark sides of our culture, or the negative side of our culture. Every culture has a positive side and negative side, and this is the negative side of most modern culture, the idea of drinking. So you do what you can and do what you think is right. All I will say is I would encourage you to eventually, if not straight away, eventually to give it all up. Ideally straight away, but see what you can do. Okay. Ajahn, I need your advice regarding generosity. I have a close relative who is retired and has almost no savings. Every few weeks he would ask for some monetary help. How can I continue to help him? Sometimes I feel like telling him no, but it feels bad. Thank you. Okay. So this is hard, right? You feel maybe that there is a limit to what you can do. What to say? Sometimes we feel that maybe we are taken a bit advantage of. So look at what is possible for you. If someone is in a very desperate state and is kind of also a little bit hard, it feels wrong to not help them as well when they are really desperate. And so see what you can do. See if there are maybe some other people that can also help out a little bit. See if you can find a way of doing this. Tell him that you will give him a regular sum every month. Every month you will give him so and so much, yeah? And please don't ask for any more than that. And then he will have to kind of budget his own money in the right way. Find a way that this works, whereby you can feel at ease with what you're doing, and he will have to be satisfied with it. And find this kind of, if he is really desperate, it's almost a bit too callous, too hard not to help someone who is in a desperate state. Someone who has no savings, sometimes we like to think, it's their own fault that they haven't got any savings. But remember, we are all just stupid. We all make all kind of crazy mistakes that we regret later on. Is it their fault? In one way it is, but it's just like to say it's the robot's fault for being programmed in the wrong way. Is it the robot's fault? Can't really blame the robot. The program is to blame. Where does the program come from? From everywhere else except for you. And so, you can then have compassion after all. So just be creative. Sometimes during meditation you find a solution to these problems. You find a way that you can help him that actually finds a more durable solution. Creativity is often the way to go with these things. These are difficult things. See what you can do. Okay. Dear Ajahn, contemplating our generosity may runs into the danger of conceit. How can we avoid it? Yes, can run into conceit. That's not how you should do it. Yeah? If you become conceited, you're doing it in the wrong way. The idea is to feel happy. Yeah, wow, I live generously, I have an open heart, I love to give. How fortunate I am that I have this generosity. It's a very different way from conceit. Yeah, it's like you are happy because you are living well. It's like you are a kind person. Well, you feel good about yourself because you are kind. It's just this gentle, warm feeling that you have within yourself going towards you rather than going towards someone else. It is not really conceited at all. So you need to kind of do it in the right way so that it feels kind of a warm kind of thing. So it is how you direct your mind here that is really important. Yeah. Wow, I'm so lucky to be generous. Wow, how lucky I am. It is not really about you. It's more about cause and conditions have made you become generous because of the people you have met, because of the Buddha's teaching or whatever. Wow, how lucky I was to get into these cause and conditions. How did that happen? It's got nothing to do with you, so how can you be conceited? Yeah, this is kind of the point. These things are cause and conditions, and not really you who have done the right thing. That's when you think about things in the right way. That is how you can forgive yourself for your mistakes, because it wasn't really you. But it also means you don't take it too seriously when you do it right. It wasn't really you. You're just lucky to kind of fall into the right habits in a way. Then you never get conceited when you think like that. It's the same thing when you are generous towards somebody else. It doesn't mean you should look down upon the other person and think you are better. That's also wrong. It's just that right now you happen to have the means to help the other. In a past life, you were maybe the beggar in the street. Next life, maybe you will be the beggar in the street again. If you look down upon that beggar now, you will feel pretty bad when you are the beggar. You will feel like everyone is looking down upon you. That's what it will feel like. Don't look down upon the beggar. There are circumstances that make people beggars. This thing happens to every one of us because this is how the world works. Okay. Good afternoon, Ajahn. Isn't it wasting food can cause bad karma? Wasting food can cause bad karma. Thank you. It depends. It depends what you mean by. Remember, wasting food is like all karma comes from your intention. So if you are greedy, you take too much, and then you chuck everything out. Okay, maybe there's going to be a little bit of bad karma there. Yeah. So wasting food, not a good idea. But it depends how it happens. It depends on all kind of situations. So ask yourself why it is being wasted. It may not be terribly bad karma, but sometimes it can be. But if someone puts food in your fridge and then you are not responsible, then it's not really bad karma, because you didn't really decide to do anything bad. The other person decided to do something bad. So in that case, no problem, I would say. All right, if anyone makes bad karma, it's the person who puts that food into your fridge. Dear Ajahn, where do we feel the breath? How to avoid controlling the breath, right? How do we radiate metta first before watching the breath, or the other way around? Thank you, Ajahn. Where do we feel the breath? Don't have to feel it anywhere, just know. Breathing in, breathing out, yeah? Just know what you're doing. That's all you have to do. So it doesn't matter where you feel it or if you feel it anywhere, as long as you know that it's going in and it's going out. That's all you have to do. If you feel it on the nose, fine. If you feel it in the tummy, fine. If you don't feel it anywhere particular, fine. Just know it's going in, know it's going out. How to avoid controlling the breath. Build up enough mindfulness in the beginning. Sit back. Don't focus on the breath straight away. You may find that you are aware of the breath from the beginning, because we are often so used to focusing on the breath that when you sit back, the breath you're kind of aware of the breath anyway. But if you are aware of the breath from the beginning, at least don't focus on it. Just let it kind of be a side issue while you just wait, while you are just present. While you watch your mind a little bit, allow things to calm down. The breath, is kind of a side issue initially, even if it is there. And then what happens is that the mind, after a while, becomes more present. The thinking starts to die down. There's less thoughts going on. You have less interest in what happened earlier on today or yesterday or whatever. You get more clarity because your tiredness starts to dissipate. You enjoy being here because you're thinking in the right way. And then the breath becomes more clear. It's as if because the mindfulness has become stronger. And so you learn the right time when you start watching the breath. And usually the right time is kind of when the breath kind of comes, it becomes clear to you. Okay, now I see the breath quite clearly. And it's almost as if the meditation just happens automatically. The whole process just unfolds by itself. You don't have to really do anything. You just sit back and you wait. That's all you do. And things kind of happen. And then you nudge the mind very gently sometimes. You ask yourself, why am I thinking about all of these things? It's just rubbish. Let me be present. Far better to be present here at the BF. Or why am I thinking these negative thoughts? There's so many good things going on, and you reflect on some of those good things going on. And in this way, you avoid that control because you build up the mindfulness beforehand. In the Anapanasati Sutta, it specifically says, having established mindfulness, then you watch the breath. Mindfulness establishing happens first. Do you radiate metta first or watch the breath first? What comes first, what comes after? Either way. We discussed this before, so whatever works. Metta can be good to do first to purify the mind a bit, or you can do metta after the breath, then it may be more powerful. Either way. Good afternoon, Ajahn. My 30-year-old son has inherited some fortune and is living an upside-down lifestyle. He stays awake at night, sleeps during the day, and doesn't have a stable job, while his sisters are working hard. As his mother, I am extremely worried, but he doesn't listen to us. What can I do? Good question. What can you do? Often there is nothing much you can do. And often the reality is that as long as you try to do things, he will resist because you are trying. And he knows that you are kind of desperate to change his ways, then he will not listen because of that. This is what happens sometimes. People become stubborn because other people are trying to change them. But if you don't try to change him, if you allow him to just do whatever he does, there comes a point when he realizes that he actually is in charge of his life. He is responsible. If no one else cares, whatever, do what you want. You want to stay up at night? It's your issue. Then he realizes that if no one else cares, well, he is going to have to get his life together. But if he feels that other people are controlling him anyway, then what's the point of him trying? So sometimes it's very counterintuitive, but very often the best way is to actually let go. Allow him to do whatever he does, and then he will find, he will eventually have to find that it is his life, it's his responsibility, and if he wants to have a good life, then he has to get his act together. No one else can do that for him. The Buddha only shows the way. We have to practice. The mother shows the way for a number of years, and then the son has to follow along. You can't babysit your son for the rest of his life. If he's 30 years old, it's time to take that responsibility himself. So, don't worry too much, because people come into this world with their own karma, their own habits, and sometimes there is not much we can do about that. We will have to accept that our children are going to be the way they are because they come with formed personalities into this world, and then see what happens. Anyway, so it's a very bad idea to ask me about how to bring up your son. I haven't got a clue. What do I know about bringing up children? But very often things are very counterintuitive. They're very different from what we think they are. Be kind to your son. Be loving to your son. Tell him that you love him regardless of what he does. Yeah, he has come into this world. Maybe he has some suffering in his life that you don't really understand. We don't understand each other that well. So regardless of what he does, one day he's going to be dead. Maybe who knows when our children are going to die. Yeah, so be kind while you have the opportunity before he passes away. Maybe he will die before you. It's just very hard to know what is right. The one thing that it is never wrong is kindness. Kindness is always right, and you cannot go wrong with that. And then even if he wastes his entire life, at least you have been kind to him. You've done your very best. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned that people are walking in darkness, hence why we should be compassionate, especially in difficult situations. For me, I have tried to be compassionate and offer solutions to resolve amicably and respectfully. If I have tried my best and yet the situation does not improve and it affects my mental well-being, is it still compassionate for me to walk away? I wish them no ill will, but I do not wish to be stuck. Is this living a virtuous life, to think of myself sometimes? Thank you. No, it is not bad to think of yourself. Actually, it is very important to think of oneself. And the highest kind of kindness should certainly be given to oneself. But very often there is no distinction between being kind to oneself and being kind to others. Usually these things work together. If you're kind to others, you tend to be kind to yourself. If you're kind to yourself, you are kind to others. One of the ways of defining the spiritual path is the actions that are both good for oneself and good for others. If it's only good for yourself, not for others, then it can be a bit selfish, but it's only good for others, not to yourself, then it is kind of you being a bit of a martyr. So you want to do actions that are good for both at the same time. If people are walking in darkness, why should you be compassionate? Well, that's why you should be compassionate. Precisely that's the reason. Because they are walking in darkness. They don't know what they are doing. The lights are off. They are trapped in darkness. It's like someone in prison. It's like someone in prison, but they don't understand why they are in prison. Why did they get there? They are trapped in a certain way. It's like someone is mentally ill, or someone is born with some kind of mental instability or something, or Down syndrome or something like that. How are you going to treat these people who are born in a difficult way, with compassion or not? The point is that people are born this way. If they're walking in darkness, they are trapped by that. Their whole life they have been like that. They don't know the way out. How can you not have compassion for someone like that? If they are deluded, they don't understand what is in their own best interest, again, how can you not be compassionate for that kind of people? And in fact, you also have a little bit of that. We all have a little bit of that darkness, a little bit of that delusion, a little bit of the lack of understanding inside of us. And because we all have these things inside of us to some degree, we should have compassion for ourselves, and other people should have compassion for us. We all have compassion for each other precisely for this reason. So, yes, you try to be compassionate, but it's not trying to be compassionate. You should always be compassionate. It's not something that you try a little bit and then you stop being compassionate. That doesn't make any sense. You should always be compassionate. But compassionate is not the same thing as trying to find a solution. These are two different things. You can be compassionate from a distance. If you try to find a solution, but there is no solution, it doesn't mean you stop being compassionate. It just means that you withdraw a little bit, and now you are compassionate from a distance instead. That's what it means. Never stop being compassionate. That's kind of the wrong way of doing things. Compassionate it's not what you act, it's how you feel inside. That's compassion. You should always have that feeling inside. Otherwise, it's kind of the wrong way of looking at things. But you are right that you try to offer a solution and resolve things respectfully and amicably. Of course, sometimes you're right. That doesn't work sometimes. And if it doesn't work, no point in trying. So you stop trying, but you are still compassionate. So yes, if it affects your mental well-being, absolutely withdraw. Yeah, so you have compassion for yourself as well, and then you can walk away a little bit. You can take a backstage for a while, back seat for a while, and then maybe later on, when the time is right, you can try again. Yeah, a few months down the track or whatever. So you find the right balance, and then somehow things may turn out for the better as a consequence eventually. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, then try another monk, see what they say. And try the nuns over here, maybe they have a different opinion to me. Dear Ajahn, over the years my meditation practice has improved, although some days it does not go well. Absolutely, and it will be that same way until the day you die. Yeah, it is... It is never always going to be well. That's not how meditation works. For the past few days, I am able to still my mind quite quickly, and I enjoy sitting in awareness. But I didn't experience the bliss or the insights that the suttas talk about. What could I do better, or what would I be doing wrong? Thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah, be really happy that your mind stills. You are not able to still your mind, by the way. The reason why your mind becomes still is because you don't do it. That's why you have a so congratulations. It means that you are getting out of the way. That's why the mind stills. Yeah, you allow things to be. Enjoy sitting in awareness. Well done. You know, this here is not really a meditation retreat. We do a bit of meditation because it's very important to bring the meditation into the spiritual practice. So if you want to improve this, go on a proper meditation retreat. Come down to Jhana Grove, Go on Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm recently did a retreat at Wisdom Park, is that right? Yeah? So go with Ajahn Brahm to Wisdom Park, and see what happens when you have a bit more time for sitting down and just being peaceful. That's when you find out whether you are able to take it deeper or not. Here, maybe sometimes you will find a little bit of bliss. Occasionally that may happen, but you should not expect all that much just from meditating for 40 minutes in the morning. It's not really enough to really make the meditation take off. So what you should do is just more of the same. You sit down in awareness, and then you wait, and then the breath may come, and then you may start watching the breath, and then when you watch the breath, you allow that watching to develop until things start to happen in your meditation. Maybe there will be some joy arising, some stillness, and these kind of things as a consequence of that. If it doesn't happen, then you nudge the mind a little bit, and these things we have been talking about today, like generosity or whatever, you nudge your mind towards remembering some act of generosity, that you are living in kindness and these kind of things. And that little nudge may help you to bring up the feeling of goodness in your heart, goodness within. And then that helps you, is the spark that allows the joy and the happiness to rise and these kind of things. So that's the idea behind that. So just be gentle with yourself. It sounds to me like you're on the right track. Just carry on gently, 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 and then things will develop slowly for you. Thank you, Ajahn, for your teaching. I am currently teaching young children in a Buddhist school with the intention of planting seeds of wisdom in them. What do you think it is? What do you think it's the utmost important value to impart? How to do it? What is the utmost important value to impart? Okay. So this is a very profound question. It's a very nice question, actually. What is the utmost important value? One of the really important ones is just the idea of kindness. So if you can impart to young people to be kind, and they can bring that with them in their life, then you are giving them a very important tool for having a good life. That is one way of thinking about what is of the utmost importance. But there is something more fundamental than kindness, and that is right view, because the idea of kindness really arises out of right view. So right view is more fundamental. So if you can impart to the young children something like the search for truth. We had before today, we were looking at the idea of truth. Look for truth in your life. Look for what is real. Look for, for real values. What actually is, in other words, look for right view, if you wish. That is what you should be looking for in the world. And if you can get the children to kind of educate themselves, to ask questions, always looking for truth, then you have done a lot of the work already. And then they will tend to come to things like a spiritual path, because they will be looking for a deeper reality beyond the ordinary reality. We don't even need to make them into little Buddhists, because if they live good lives, that will they will lean in a kind of similar direction already, if we are leaning in the right way. So asking questions and being honest, looking for truth, these are some of the fundamental values, all leading to right view eventually. As an educator and also a practitioner myself, what is your advice on aligning what I do for work and my spiritual practice? So, if you are teaching young children in a Buddhist school, you're already really aligning yourself really, really well, because this is one of the really great jobs in the world, is to be a teacher. A teacher is someone who helps other people learning about life, learning things that are useful so they can have a good life later on, and all of these kind of things. Being a teacher or a doctor or a nurse, all of these service works, it's just wonderful that you're doing that. And so what you should do, as you do that, you should add kindness and compassion and metta into that activity that you are doing. So if you're looking after children, have metta for those children, have compassion for them. And the more you add that into your teaching activity, the more powerful that teaching will be, because the children will feel the metta. They will know that you are teaching them not for some ulterior motive, because you are making a salary or you want to be famous, you want to the children to be pleased with you, whatever. No, you're doing it because you want to be kind to them. You want to help them. They will feel that. And that is very beautiful if you are a child and you feel that the teacher cares for you. And then they will really listen, because they know that you care. If you are a teacher but you don't have the feeling that the teacher cares, if the teacher tells you off too much, actually the teacher is just looking after themselves, the teacher is afraid of losing control of the class or whatever, the children will not take you so seriously. But if they really feel that you have their interest at heart, it will open up their minds and you will listen. It's a bit like Ajahn Brahm. If Ajahn Brahm tells me off, I will really listen, because I know that Ajahn Brahm will tell me off for a good reason. He doesn't tell me off very much. As soon as I wish, maybe tell me off a bit more often, but he refuses to tell me off, so what to do? But I know that he does it for a good reason, and that's why I listen to him. But if some other scallywag tells me off, I just shrug my shoulders and say, whatever, I'm not so interested. I should still maybe listen, but I don't take it on board in quite the same way, because they are maybe coming from anger or whatever. So in this way, you have a wonderful job. Add more metta and compassion to it, and then you align it even more with the spiritual path. Okay, so I feel sorry for the sheep. Do you know for the fact that sheep equals brainless? You are always give the example that those who are brainless sheep just follow. But I don't mean brainless. By sheep, I mean not reflecting enough on your life. And this is what we saw today. We saw the people, the person who was called Pokarasati, not really reflecting on what he was saying, talking, acting before he was reflecting. And most of the world, actually all of us, sometimes we don't reflect enough. Sometimes we just follow along because it's easy to follow along, right? So we are all, to some extent, we are sheep because we cannot always stand out from society. So we all have that problem. But we need to reflect enough to be able to take our life in a good direction. That's kind of the idea here. Yeah, so of course, the sheep, you have to have compassion for the sheep as well. Yeah, the people who don't reflect, have even more compassion for them because they don't really understand that's what they're doing. And sometimes realize that we also are have the same problem. Anyway. Okay, so question number 1. When a sick person is dependent on oxygen to breathe all the time, but taking out that oxygen would be considered killing. Yes, normally, especially if you want them to die and you think, okay, take away the oxygen, then it's absolutely killing, So number 2, if a monastic gave advice to the family that taking out that oxygen to relieve his suffering, would that violate a precept? Yes. So the monastic should not give advice to the family to take out the oxygen. Because if you do that, then yes, the monastic would actually break a precept. You can never really advise people to die, or to kind of stop using the oxygen. But it's interesting. One of the strange things about the Dhamma is that kamma and precepts are not always aligned with each other. So the question is, what is good and bad karma is one question. What is against the precept is sometimes another question. So for a monastic, we should never make that kind of judgment. However, in lay life, you have a bit more flexibility in doing what feels right. Yeah, so it depends more on the circumstances. Sometimes. Sometimes in hospitals they turn off the life support systems because there is no hope anymore for the person. Is that right or wrong? And I would say sometimes it probably is right. The person is brain dead, there's no future or whatever. Sometimes you have to do that. Maybe there is someone else that needs that bed who is dying, or there's all kind of issues going on. Yes, please. Yeah.
Around him didn't want to do anything, but then Ajahn Man came and he took out the oxygen.
Okay. All right.
The monk there, he said he didn't want to make
the decision.
Bad karma.
Yeah.
But then Ajahn Man came. I think it was Ajahn Man's disciple.
Okay, all right.
But he came and then he took out.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, usually you wouldn't do that because it might be a parajika offense, right? It's not because it's bad karma, it's because of parajika offense. That's the main reason why that's so dangerous. So maybe Ajahn Man went there and he said he's dead already, so turn off oxygen is okay. Maybe he knew the mind of the person already gone, there's nothing left, already dead. Okay, take the oxygen off. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe. Yeah. All right. We have a couple of more questions. I will go through these and then we have come to the end of the day. So, dear Ajahn, in the Samyutta Nikaya 38.16 and 39.16, Venerable Sariputta states 3 difficult things. It's hard to go forth, it's hard to be satisfied when one has gone forth, it's hard to practice in line with the teaching when one is satisfied. For the first difficulty, Venerable Rattapala showed us the way. That's exactly right. Yeah, Venerable is the one who lay down on the ground in his parents' house and said, either you allow me to go forth or I die right here. And the parents said, okay, in that case, we will go forth. To overcome the objection from the others, how to overcome the other two difficulties. Hard to be satisfied when you have gone forth. So you have to practice with sincerity. You have to find, hopefully the reason why you went forth is because out of faith and confidence in the teachings of the Buddha. So you keep on contemplating those teachings and you keep on practicing with sincerity. You ensure that you are in the right place with the right kind of people. You ensure that your good states are increasing, the bad ones are going down. Then eventually you will become satisfied with that life. So you just have to do your very best in that existence, and you have to ask yourself all the hard questions about whether you are doing the right thing, living in the right place, with the right teacher, and etc., etc. It's hard to practice in line with the teaching. Yes, it can be hard, but that's the purpose of the monastic life. That is why you are there. Why else do you want to be a monastic if you're not going to practice in line with the teachings? And so you just have to remind yourself what life is all about. You have to remind yourself the importance of these things, the urgency with which the practice should be undertaken. Now is the opportunity. Tomorrow it may be too late. And as you reflect in the right way, as you come back to the suttas and you investigate what the Buddha had to say, you will find that courage, you will find the encouragement, and you will be able to make the effort that eventually takes you forward on the path. Last question for today. Dear Ajahn, I have a question about meditation. I am not a diligent practitioner, but when I do meditate, usually for around 20 minutes, my thoughts are all over. I just observe and let them settle. When they settle, I ended up dozing off. Yes, common problem. So my question is my meditation going the right way? If all I manage to do is just relaxing and dozing off, will it lead to anything? So this is kind of how the mind often oscillates, But when the mind is active, the reason why it is not dozing off, it is because it is active, it is thinking. And then when finally the thoughts still down, then the underlying tiredness of the mind kind of comes out, and that's why you doze off. And so it kind of goes back and forth between these two things. And so what you need is a different source of energy. The source of energy that comes from thinking, from being interested in the world, that is the source that also tires the mind. So you need energy from a different place. And this is why we do all of these preliminary practices. The generosity, the kindness, the anusati, the recollections of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, that gives rise to a different kind of energy. And that energy, when you still the mind, it leads to the brightness of the mind rather than to dozing off. So all of these preliminary things, that's why they are so incredibly important, because they are what ultimately allows your meditation to work. This is how it comes together. So in the meantime, you are right. If this is what happens all the time, don't try too hard to practice meditation. The main thing in Buddhism is not meditation. The main thing are all the underlying causes, the right view, the right kindness, living in the right way, thinking with compassion, all of these things. This is the most critical thing. And if you do these things properly and well, eventually your meditation will come together, whether you want to or not. And of course, you want to. So meditate occasionally. See what happens. Ask yourself if your meditation is improving. Is it better this year than last year? How long did it take this year for dozing off? Last year you dozed off after 10 minutes. This year after 20. Yay! Improvement. So you are going somewhere. So you you learn to encourage yourself by seeing the little improvements, the little movements in the right way. And then you create the underlying things again and again and again. And then one day your meditation will come together and you will have a bliss and happiness and joy and all of these kind of things. It just takes a lot of patience, that's all. Okay, everyone. So that is it for today. There was something about a picture, Niwan, is that correct? Just you, is that all? Okay, so that's one person. Okay, that's easy then. That's no problem at all. Okay, easy. So that is it for today. And so please have a good night's rest. And then we'll see you back again tomorrow morning.